So this conversation might be a bit controversial, and understandably so. A lot of people's lives have been afflicted by what's going on in the world right now, and I don't want to take away from that. I don't want to downplay the tragedies, and I don't want to talk about this just for like views or something like that. That's not what I'm doing here. In fact, I don't really expect to get a whole lot of views on this. I just don't. But I feel like I need to talk about my perspective on the situation, and why it's my perspective on the situation. But seeing as how we don't talk about this on YouTube really, and honestly, do we really even talk about that much anymore at all? No, it doesn't seem like we do. But the conversation needs to be had. And I feel that I need to take the risk in having the conversation. And if this video did get a lot of views, I'm willing to bet at least half the comment section is just going to be a lot of trash talking. But before I say anything, I want to note that I am not a conspiracy theorist, and I'm not going to get behind any of that stuff. Sorry, not sorry. That's not what I do. I just can't get into that. Some people can. Good for you, I guess. I don't know. Whatever. But we're gonna talk about the pandemic. We're gonna go there. We're going there. Here we go. So last December, I had a big psychic download. And it was one of the best feelings that I've ever had in my life. I knew in that moment that something big was happening and something good was happening. Then became 2020. Nothing happened. Why would it? It just became the day or the year, but both really. But time passed. I found some of my passions. Thought maybe it was just a personal feeling. But I never had a download quite like that. I never felt so strongly loved almost. It was like a loving feeling, but it was like an electricity almost through my body. Not really. If you have ever had any kind of psychic experience, then you know what I'm talking about. It was this energy, this loving, listen kind of energy. And then the pandemic happened. And I thought, well, that's interesting. And at first I was shocked by it, and I was threatened by it. It's just not, I don't think anyone was expecting that to happen. But it did. And when it did, the whole world was afflicted by the same thing. Every one of us on the planet. Rich or poor, it really doesn't matter. No matter what you see, this is an earth thing. This is a energy thing. This is a universe thing. And it doesn't pick and choose and play favorites like we do in our economic systems and our political systems. We created that. And that is part of the problem. This isn't just a happenstance-like event where something went wrong, someone got sick, and precautions weren't took. This was meant to happen. The pandemic was meant to happen. And I feel that sounds very insulting and very belittling. But regardless of how it sounds, it's the truth. The reason that it's the truth, and the reason that this was meant to happen, that the pandemic was meant to happen, is because the world is changing. I'm sure some of you at least hear a lot about New Earth. Some of you are probably invested in the New Earth ideology, right? The concept of New Earth. Some of you have no idea what I'm talking about, and that's fine. But when the earth changes, the whole universe is changing, and not just ours. All things are in motion. Our ideas of time give us the idea of stopping time. Time is a concept. It is illusionary. It is something else that we created. In truth, all things are consistently moving, consistently evolving, consistently learning, and Earth is very much alive. Earth very much has a consciousness. It's not so much that it's angry as it is desperate. Earlier this year, I had a dream. I have vivid dreams. Sometimes these dreams are premonitions, sometimes they're just dreams. Figure that out in the future, really, when things happen. Then you're like, okay, well, that was a premonition. It's not quite the same as visions. I have those too, but that's a different story. But premonitions are a lot harder to read because dreams are hard to read, and sometimes dreams are one thing, sometimes they're another thing. But in one of these dreams, the spirit of Earth came to me and asked me desperately to save the planet. That I'm here to help, and that I'm needed. And I was so disappointed in myself because I had nothing to offer. What am I going to give? But I believe strongly that all people and all things are are very much connected. And I, of course, am just one person, right? I can't save the world. You can't save the world. We can. And in order to come to this conclusion, I had to let go of a lot of thoughts, a lot of limited thinking, a lot of teachings of teachers. I just had to look at things at a new perspective from the information that I'm being given. Means I had to let go of information that I have looked for. Perspective tells us that something is right, something is wrong. It tells us something is this way, something is this way. Perspective dictates how we experience the world, how we look at it, how we look at the events in it. But where is our perspective right now? When we sensationalize something like this pandemic into being fodder for conspiracy theories, into being fodder for political alignments, into being fodder for class war, where the rich, and frankly the white and the male, use it as a way to cause suffering by manipulating who was helped. Where is our perspective when we see that, and so we choose to see nothing? Our perspective needs to be new. It needs to be a perspective I don't have and one that you don't have. The way that we're thinking here and the way that we're acting, because our thoughts, is completely fixated on a level of selfishness that is unhealthy. We are ignoring not only the health of the earth, but the health of each other. And then we're turning it into a TV show. We're turning it into clout friends and likes and subscriptions and internet popularity. Or we're ignoring it. Or we're afraid of it. You don't need to be afraid. Tragic things happen in our individual lives. And those of us who survive those events, and stick around for a while, while different than we would have been without those events, which is kind of the point, arguably, we are wiser, and many times we are more loving. Our perspective shifts from those events that we have. We are no longer just in space. Maybe for a little while, but eventually we get grounded again, and we see that we can't accept that. That's not okay. It might take a while, but eventually we get away from our abusers. We get healthier and healthier. When our addictions don't kill us, we kill the addiction. People go to prison, they get out, and they help people feel good. They help people have better lives. People get addictions, they get traumatized, and when they heal, they take what they know and they apply it to other people because their perspective shifted, because their love shifted. Our collective self functions in a similar way. And our collective self has been sick for a very long time. It's part of the deal here on Earth, maybe. Maybe it's not. It doesn't matter now, either way, because the rules are different. Because we are at a point where our earth is suffering. And it's not just fighting back. This isn't life fighting or the earth fighting back to heal itself. That's not what's happening. The earth doesn't need us. Arguably, we don't even need the earth. We're working in synergy for a purpose. We might not know that purpose, but it doesn't matter because here we are. When the pandemic happened, our life paths became a life path. And while your path is still your path at the end of the day, sometimes it involves other people and their paths. When the pandemic happened, which is still happening, but when it hit that point, when it's begun, our paths entangled. All of us. Even the people who you hate. We are all on the same path right now. And we need to be aware of this. We need to waken up to it. Because I will tell you, this pandemic will not go away until we find that love for each other, for all life, for Earth, for space. We're littering space with our junk and our selfishness and our greed. Come on. Come on. We're not that powerful. And we will be stopped. All of us will be stopped. Because we're taking for granted why we're here. We're taking everything for granted, and we have to stop doing that. And if we find a way to get past this, we'll find another thing, and it'll be even worse. And these events will keep going and keep going and keep going until we're just to the brink where there's nothing left. There's nothing more that we could do because it's so bad, and then we will just be put to a halt. I'm going to let you in on a secret. You're not going anywhere when this is all over. I'll let you in on another secret. Even if you go to, we're talking after this lifetime, you go somewhere else. You're going to feel what's going on here, and you're going to care. Because in that scenario, you are still a part of this. You're here, and you're here. Once you're here, you're always entangled to this. How that looks in other lives might be different, but it is what it is. And I can't tell you how to change this. I can't. But I could tell you that we need to start to do something. Not just science. It's more than that. It's not religion either. It's not politics. It's love. And that's what we need to fixate on. Love for ourselves, love for our friends, love for our family, love for just love. Love for everything. When we do that, when we really unite, when we get over our bullshit, things will get better. Better than you could imagine. Everything you think is beautiful, it's not even the ice. Not even the ice of the iceberg, man. You're barely in the water. Just got your feet wet. That's where you're at. That's where all of us are right now. Even with our wants and our needs, like the whole thing, that's where we are right now. We just got our feet wet. So you as one person and me as one person, us as one people, or one person individually for the whole collective, can't change the world. But here's the trick. Here's the loophole. When you understand that we're all connected, that our feelings and our perspectives and our actions affect all things, you understand that it isn't one individual doing something. Every time that you do something, you're doing something with everything else. The idea of like loneliness, that's not real. It's an emotion that we have, but it's not real. Not in the way that you feel like it is. Spent a lot of my life feeling alone. Some of the times I felt the most alone, I was surrounded by people. I've been on stage, used to play music a lot. Been on stage in front of people, and I did not feel anything else than alone. So we can change the world. We can stop the pandemic. We can stop more than just that. And some of that is science. Some of that is medications. Like it or not. That's not the end goal, though. That's not going to put all this to a halt, because this is an act in a series of phases. What we need to understand is that there's a way out of this. And we need to have faith in each other. Stop telling ourselves that we hate everyone. People are evil, that the world is bad. No, it's not. Those are ideas that you've made. Those are words that you've given definitions. You created a word, you created a definition, and you called it real. But that's not truth. So what you do now is you love. You love for the hell of loving. Because it's what you are. It's what you do best. You might block that. But it's what you do best. The world isn't evil. And these things don't just happen. These events, these people that we look at as being bad, they don't just happen. There's a purpose behind all of it. But it doesn't matter anymore. It's time to go in a new direction. It's not time to be better. It's time to be what we are. It's not a political conversation. It's not a social conversation. It's not a conversation about disease. It's not. It's a conversation about love. It's a conversation about where we put our energy, our passions. It's a conversation about how we treat each other. It's a conversation about waking up. Don't sleep anymore. I love you. You've got this. And I mean everything I'm saying from the bottom of my soul. And it's going to be okay.